Okay, this is up and running. Pleasant good evening to you all. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I know I come to you with the kind compliments of Black Love. It's a brand that supports this GMB, the Gavin Matthews B show, and for the online radio, the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. A pleasant good evening to you all. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Share the live as you now join. Share the live. I'm going to take another minute or so before I start. You can share the live. Share the live feed. Tonight's topic is going to be on two things: nationality and citizenship. And we're going to be discussing that in a manner in which it is taken from the Black Law Dictionary that are used by the Moors. We may call, some of you may call them the Moors, Moor citizens, Moors natural citizens, but the Moors. Some of you may refer to us as the Ottoman Empire. It is the same thing, so good night to you. This is Dr. Bey, Gavin Matthews-Bey, coming to you once again on this, the GMBS Live Voice of the Nation and the GMS Live Radio Guyana. Good evening. Good evening once again to you. Share the live. Share the live, share the live, share the live. I have an interesting, hold on. I have an interesting topic at hand. I don't know why everything is malfunctioning at the same time, but it is food for topic. The topic that brings along the food to feed the mind, nourish the soul, and educate the interested. And we want to discuss on it, to divulge on it. And I want to take my time tonight. So if you want, you can call in, you can join in, and we can have a civil conversation. A conversation in which to enlighten the mind, wake those up who were still sleeping. So good night to you from Guyana to the Caribbean and around the world. Welcome you to tonight's show. Share the live as you come in. Share the live. Hold on a minute for me, please. Share the live as you now join. Share the live. Okay. Oh, I see. I see. I see what's going on here. Okay. Share the live as you join. Very much appreciative. I don't think the show is being seen on Facebook. I think I'm blocked from Facebook. Hold on just a minute, please. Oh no. Okay, good. So we got the thing rolling. Apparently it's on, but the notification on the live is not working that well. Well, usual thing. Two topics, two interesting topics coming all the way out from the Black Law Dictionary. So we can sit down and discuss this evening what are we talking about. Nationality and citizenship. This is what it says. And then we're going to go into the discussion. Between an alien and a natural born or naturalized subject. Kind of interesting. So they use the word subject. Being able to take lands by purchase or device, which an alien could not do until 1870. An alien means the person who is not naturalized to the area, who wasn't from that area, who doesn't have lineage to that area or to that land, but not able to take lands by descent. It means that they weren't able to take land by descent. And what is descent? Descent is means that descent of information of your parents. You know, it's like, let us say my name is Bay, Gavin Matthews-Bey. My title is descended to those who lived in the Americas before slavery. So that is the descent, as I am now explaining to those who are listening, which a natural born or a naturalized subject may do. It's explaining that an alien cannot have lands or be a part of having or be a part of owning lands before 1870 via way of purchase, like what is being made now in the 1870 Constitution of the United States. And they could not have done that by descent, but those of natural born or naturalized subjects may do so because they have identification, they have lineage to the land. And who are they that we're talking about once again? Those are the persons that we identify as aboriginals who have complete descent, knowledge of descent of aboriginal lineage to the land or to the property than those who are alien. Other laws, and I'm talking about the Black Law Dictionary, other laws around the world sees people who are alien as dwellers. Like, for instance, those who came to Guyana via date of entry, like I would normally say, the the indentured laborers, those who came from India and parts of East Asia, and they came as indentured laborers because they have a date of entry. So they are now deemed or looked at as dwellers, or they have the word, they are part of a citizenship. Citizen, but they came on that ship. So citizenship. The citizenship cannot apply to us because we did not. We are natural born aboriginals. So we are what you call the nationality. We are part of the nationality of the land in which we're on because we're identified as naturalized citizens. Those who came with an entry date came as citizenship, identified, date of entry, and they have date of expiry. They can be deported at any time, like the de facto administration. But that's another food for topic or food for thought, as a matter of fact. A dweller, a stranger, admitted to certain rights in a foreign land, or as one who lives inhabitably in a country but is not a native. Obviously, the East Indians are not natives. They got certain other persons, they're not natives. We are, because we are aboriginal. But they don't want us to know that. That is why they give us that fictitious story that we came as slaves. No, we didn't come as slaves. They came here and meet us. They started transporting us from here to different parts of the world as slaves. If you get my point. When they came here, you understand, they saw people and they went into a contract with the people that they came here and saw. They didn't come and discover here. It was already discovered. It was already habitable. There were people here living and feeding off of the land. There were communities. There were kingdoms, kings and queens, nobles. All of them were here in the Americas, North America, South America, and Central America. But when they came, the Caucasites or the Caucasians, or we want to call them the Europeans, well, Europe then was inhabitants of Aboriginals. As a matter of fact, for every part of the world you go, there is enough evidence to say that the first people of the land were Aboriginals. The only people that are alien, that are foreign, are the Caucasites or the Caucasians. That's the only people. And those who lived in the world that they brought here when they were coming, they were also alien because every one of them have an entry date. Everyone. None of them are a naturalized citizen. None of them can claim lineage to the land in which we live on. Hold on. I got somebody I got a block. I know he's feeling away, but that's the truth. We can't blame them for feeling left out. To know that they have no lineage to the country or to the cooperation that they call Guyana. So when the British came and the Dutch came and the French came, they came with their citizens. They came with their aliens. So that is why the push now is to grab the lands whilst we are still asleep. Because we are the naturalized citizens. Believe you me. We didn't came here and adopt citizenship. I think I just blocked this individual. Yep. I just block him and block him again. Man, they pop up so quickly. You could just block them and they pop up again. Well, it is time to wake the nation up. It is time to wake up a people because the Europeans, as a matter of fact, how should I put it over? The Greeks, when they came and they investigated and they knew, and the Dutch, they had different names they call us a swarthy people. You understand? They call us the Moors. Well, Moors is a word that they came and meet, but it is pertaining to how we look. an identification. We were aboriginals and we are still aboriginals. So the falsehood in which they preach and teach in our schools, in our universities, are false. So on the 5th of next month coming, the 5th of May, January, February, March, yeah, May that is coming, they're celebrating a day of arrival day. We should never be in that particular celebration because we didn't arrive here. All the rest of races has an entry date. So we who are aboriginal, it is our nationality as Americans. Those who are, how should I put it? Those who adopt citizenship, who are aliens, adopt citizenship. So you find now in the de facto system of the cooperation, which is run under the flagship of Guyana, their plight is to continue to take away the lands from the Aboriginals, from the original people, or we call the indigenous. Like the issue is to keep on grabbing the land because while they're still asleep, while they refuse to be awoken. Their original identification is because they're national people of this land. This is their nationality. But we don't want them to know. We want to tell them, yes, you're citizens just like everyone else. And they practice the same device, practice using the same device on a people. It is a device. Because as long as we live under this device, we are now subjects. And the only subjects there are the aliens, are those who hold citizenship because they're foreign to the land. We are the original owners, of course, to that person, Virgil. Of course, we are the original owners of this planet. Those who came, look, let me get into the sweetness of it. We are the only living souls on this earth can be identifiable of the pigmentation of our skin and the pineal gland. We're the only ones that you can find with that. Okay, take away with it. Take away the strength of the pigmentation. We are the only living souls on the earth that can be found with a pineal gland. And we're not only the only living souls, we are the majority. On this earth, we have 7 billion plus people. Five, I want you to understand this. On this earth, we have 7.6 billion. The two largest countries with all among the people is between China and India with the population. But the Aboriginals are the majority. We're nearly 5 billion people on the face of this earth. That is to show that and they don't want to teach you that in school. They don't want to tell you that the Aboriginal people are the majority habitation of this planet that they call Earth. They don't want to say those things. They would like to keep on telling us that we are a minority. We have a lesser voice. So what Moorish American citizen as I am I continue to teach and liberate those who are still asleep. We say, come to us, come unto us as we are, and declare who you are and own it and be a part of it so you can claim your birthright once again. Because the system in which you live in, you cannot claim your birthright because that system owns you. But you can come out of the system. It is simple, by declaring your birthright. By saying to you, well, look, like what I said, I'm no longer Gavin Matthews. I am now Gavin Matthews-Bey. Adding the Bay to the given name by the system tells me now that I'm not only free, but I'm able to make laws. I'm able to constitute certain arrangement so I can own the land and the property in which I am, in which I have, and which I have entitlement to, because the bay in which I have gives me that title. It is a title that gives me that ownership. You understand? Hold on. I got another person I got to block. And I like blocking them. They're nice. Okay. All right. So we have rights. We have inalienable rights. And when you declare yourself, you're not only declaring yourself, you're accepting your inalienable rights. You don't want to give it up anymore. This is a pathway to destruction. It's like having a passport. A passport tells you that you're a citizen, and you have citizenship, and you can't leave this country and go to another. You can't leave this cooperation and go to another cooperation without having a passport, because you have to have time and date of entry at all times. The laws of the sea. So I'm a citizen. Passport gives me citizenship to the cooperation which I'm traveling from to another. It shows when I go to the other country, as we want to call it, that I'm owned by someone else and I need passage. But when you declare your nationality, you have the right to travel at all times without an identification. You've already been identified without a passport or identification card. You go as a declared free living soul. It is your nationality. You're not part of a citizenship. Citizenship. Citizens or subjects. Here it is. Citizenship. Citizenship. Citizen or subjects in a resistance to their government. It is being defined. It doesn't say actually, but it's being defined. When they al- when you are alluded to as a subject, means that you are a property of state. You never go to court and not go to court. You never hear they define and they represent and they say they call you a subject. They say, oh, he is a subject of an investigation. Police like use that word. You're property of the state. He is the property of state within the subject of an investigation, or within the investigation, as a matter of fact. So when they define you, when they look at you and they call you a subject, it tells everybody who is looking, who has knowledge of such facts, especially the state, that you belongs to them. Seriously. That you don't have any choice to say or to represent yourself, because you cannot. You don't know where you are. You're a citizen of a corporation, yes, but we know everything of you, and we do everything for you. Again, everything ties into the same thing: nationality and citizenship. I say my nationality is a Moorish American. I'm not a citizen of the corporation. I refuse to accept that part. And even if I was, I give it up, because I no longer see myself as a citizen of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, because it's too much slavery, too much oppression, too much systematic racism. That is how cooperation runs. The laws were designed for that way, so we can be keep so we can be kept in an oppressive state or manner. That's why they have schools. The schools are now. When I read this information, I was mostly shocked about it. I didn't see it like that. I thought a school was an institution of learning, but I didn't know a school was an institution of from cradle to the prison. I didn't see it that way. And when you ask why would it be cradle to the prison, because the educative standard that they give to you is to imprison yourself. The curriculum, like for instance, and these people who are going through this process are citizens of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. The identification is a citizenship to that entity. I had a problem where my daughter brought home an end of term homework to do. That's the end of Christmas. That's the end of the year, end of year homework. And she had to define who was Santa Claus. And then she came to me and I said to her, I said, Santa Claus is a figment of one imagination. And I didn't know where I am now. I didn't know about all of this, what I know about now back then. But I knew that he wasn't real. So I told her, I said, look, Santa Claus is what somebody sit down and make up and put it out there to be celebrated at Christmas time. They call him Chris Kringle or Father Christmas or what have you. But he is a figment of one's imagination. It's a made up character. She went to school with the same information, and she failed that particular part of her end of term examination. And the teacher sent to call me. And she said, why would I tell my child that? I said, but that's the truth. I said, you don't know that? She said, yes, but she said it's part of the curriculum. So whether if it's not factual or factual, the curriculum entails that he or she must write out an essay based upon who or what they think is Santa Claus. Indeed, the school is made up in such a way to imprison the child. So when he or she becomes an adult, they are a prisoner to the system. So to identify them as a prisoner to the system, it is an identification of citizenship. Y'all really understand what's going on? So The democratic system doesn't want you to know about it. And there are certain cases that were fought in courts about the same recognition of what and who a citizen is, or who a national is, or natural living soul is to the land. But these information is not out there for you to know. You got to come in to the acknowledgement of oneself in research and reading and understanding where you are, so you can be given such privileges, because these privileges are not entitled to people who are a corporate entity or citizens that belongs to the corporation. You're not entitled to that. You're not privileged to it. Those who are privileged to it is those who have an entry date, because those are the ones who are being given the priority to keep up that system of cooperation or cooperative entity. And not sorry, my pronunciation. Corporation, a dead system, because it makes no use. Who is it governing? Look at its citizens, they are called subhumans. It's dead. They're not required to be seen as living souls, because they have to do everything for them to live. We are required as living souls because they don't have to do anything for us. We proclaimed our nationality. It's a proclamation to everybody. We refuse to be spoon fed from a system intends to enslave us even more. We prefer to be a free people, educated, and as we speak, we create laws. You know, when I looked at the political system before I even ventured into this particular area, I used to be confused. I used to say, man, you know, we got Jagdio and Air Fraud on one side, and we got Harman on the other side. And Harman's supposed to be in opposition, and he's not representing the people. And then we got Jagdio and Air Fraud on the other side, and they're killing the morals, and they're stripping the peoples of their rights and taking away all this in an oppressive manner, in a systematic racism that is flowing throughout this land like crazy. And why these people are not getting up to represent us? But then I was informed what is democracy. And then, not only being informed what is democracy, I was helped to understand how democracy exists. Now, who is the majority? The Aboriginal people. So, democracy creates a system to deprive them of social rights and social welfare, social economic welfare. So, every time, like what is happening now, Guyana, which is their cooperative system, is being represented. It is being represented by those that call themselves the elite. They're a minority. They're not a majority. So they don't have to be a majority to become the elite. The elite is a minority under the democratic system. You understand? And that could only be portrayed by those who call themselves citizens of the corporation. I'm gonna read it back to you. Remember, I have it right here. Hold on. Oh no, I got it in this other thing here. I now remember I had it, and it tends to coincide. This is democracy to a cooperative systems of citizens that hold citizenships. It says democracy derives from two words: autocracy, a government in which a class of men believed to be superior rules supreme from of a government in which is lodged in a minority consisting of those believed to be best qualified and a privileged class of people. Look at it. Those who gone there to fancy themselves with $100 million US contract, and they're all indentured citizenship. They came, they have an entry date. All of them. They're going to represent a corporation that is that is majority inhabited by aboriginals who doesn't know, to represent them, and they are the minority. You see the backwardness? And we can't represent ourselves, those who are in that cooperative system, who I see as aboriginals, who I want to liberate. They cannot see that to represent themselves because a young child went on 94.1 FM to see that the aboriginal community, well, he didn't say aboriginal, but I'm saying that the aboriginal community doesn't have role models because they see themselves as the majority. They see themselves as a class of people qualified. They qualify themselves as nobles and dignitary and people of wealth and stature. They hold on to the economic welfare and they share it among themselves. A little bit of them, not plenty. So those who are a majority, which is the aboriginals, cannot be a part of that economic welfare, that boost, that social economic welfare. Because they can't afford it, they're not part of it. So you check every time this particular political situation happens within the cooperation of Guyana, a group of people that calls themselves the PPP, the PPTP, People's Progressive Terrorist Party, will take away that economic welfare from the people. For instance, Region 4, they want to break it up into 4 voting blocks of the Cooperative Republic of the Corporation of Guyana. Corporation of Guyana, sorry. They want to break it up into 4 voting blocks. And those that live in the majority has the less seats. And those who live in the minority has the more seats. Because they identify themselves as a particular class of people. Those aboriginals who are enslaved to the system, they can't meet there because the laws are designed to enslave you. So you can't even have a social economic welfare to defend yourself. So you're living in a class of oppression, slavery, racism. Look what the other meaning says. It says aristodemocracy. It says here again, a form of government where the power is divided between the nobles or the more powerful and the people. A form of government that is divided between the nobles or a more powerful people. Who are the nobles? The aboriginals. Our nationality are Moorish Americans. We have rights. They don't. They enter into a treaty with us. and violated that treaty. So it's now for us to stand and retrieve our rights. Now is us to stand and educate each other and inform each other that you can make a proclamation and declare who you are. Seriously. Everybody's waking up now around the world. People get to know that democracy is a falsehood. It's an invention. It's a figment of one's imagination. It's fake. It's not real. It's an illuminated uh it's an illuminated word to fashion your eyes. Check everything that you eat within the system. That corporation that represents corpse, dead people. Because that's what corporation is. Corpse, corporation, dead people in motion. They take away everything from you. When they finish with you, you cannot identify yourself as a living soul. You could identify yourself as a subhuman. Because everything they did to you scrubs you out, take away everything from you. They spent their time and years doing it. They studied us. They knew how to move us from natives to citizens just by changing our own story, or we may call his story. They intertwined everything and then they put a Caucasite image above all. They brought our own dynasty back to us and plagiarize it. Yes, when I say dynasty, the years in which we lived as nobles, kings and queens. They brought our own culture back to us in a plagiaristic form. And they're using it against us. You see what they're telling you? The laws in which you live is based upon what you say. Can and will be used against you in the court of law. Those are the laws. They don't have any other law. They don't know how to construct. They construct everything among or around what we say. That's why English language is derived based upon law. Because back then, when you control your household, you say, I'm the father, she's the mother, we have children. There is a law in which I govern my household. And if the law says the first person that should be married within my household, if I say the first person that should be married within my household is the senior one, the very first born, that is law. They took that and make it into an administrative process and give it back to us. Like, I had to look up the word driver. Seriously, I had to look it up because I was experimenting on it and I was saying, but what does it mean? You have a driver's license, a license to operate in a commercial manner, to take goods from one place to the next to be sold. That's when you are a driver, to transport commercial items, good from one place to the next. So if I'm driving a motor vehicle, as they will call it, and I may say operating a motor vehicle, and it's for my own domestic use, well, then I'm not a driver. I don't have to be licensed to operate a motor vehicle, but because you're not educative enough to understand what's going on with the words that you have, that they're playing you with, you now become a subject. You now become a subject because you don't understand. See, if you don't understand what happens, you become a subject. You become a subject to the system, the laws in which it has, because you have no knowledge of the fact. It is hard for you to study the etymology of it because it's not there in front of you. It is there, but they're not providing the answers for you. And even if the answers are there, it is because they taught us not to read initially. They taught us to read, yes, the normal common way of life in the corporations. They taught us to read in that manner, but they never taught us to look beyond in which we are. You ever wonder why they say Guyana or British Guyana? You ever went into it and realized what is happening really with the information that is available? Everything has an entry date. Everything that there is about Guyana has an entry date. Even to the subjects that they brought has an entry date. I call it the indentured laborers because those are the persons that they brought. Now, when they left them here, they left them here to make sure that the purpose of a corporation is being carried on. By constitution constitutional laws of the sea. His worship. You ever check it out? His worship, the mayor. Citizenship. Our lives are based upon our understanding, or our comprehension. I gotta stop using the word understanding. Our lives are based upon our comprehension of the system and what we governed by. We are governed by our own words. All you have to do as Aboriginal is stand up and declare who you are and lay claim to the title, like I did. That's all you have to do. And they cannot stop you. They cannot say that you're illegal. They are illegal. The entire system is illegal. It was told to you just now. As a matter of fact, as I was reading, I was helping you to understand it is illegal. Corporate citizenship, corporate status in the state of incorporation. Hear the word, in the state of incorporation, though a foreign corporation is not a citizen for purpose of the privileges and immunities clause. Did you hear that part? Let me read it back again. Corporate citizenship, corporate status in the state of an incorporation, though a foreign corporation is not a citizen for purposes of privileges and immunities clause. Do you understand what I mean there just now? To those who were listening? To those who came and meet we, doesn't have, hear it, the kind of purpose and privileges and immunities clause. We have it. That's why when they came, everything for them is a foreign affair. You check it out. Everything for them is a foreign affair. Their entire institution is run upon foreign affairs. Why you think the US can interfere in an election without the privileges of the subjects who are part of the corporation? Because it is a foreign affairs. That's how their constitution run, based upon the laws of the sea. A lot of people wanted to know why Gavin Matthews would have shifted from this to this. Because I have seen the light. I have looked upon the hill whence cometh my help. My help is the vision. I was awoken at the bottom of the hill because I was asleep on the plain. And when I opened my eyes, I realized the information that is built like the hill. All that knowledge, I saw this is my help. And a declaration to my status and title. And my that brings about my inalienable rights, the right to life, liberty, and property. No foreign person must take that away from me, no alien. That is why the time is now to create a state. No, sorry, I got to use the wrong word. Now is the right time to rise up the state that was always here, not create, rise up and claim our birthrights as aboriginals. This is the only way we can not only defeat a system, but to stand tall and strong to make sure to let them know that, hey, I know that you can't do without me. And the laws in which you're exercising is illegal. Not only illegal, de facto, because it's a foreign law. You came here and meet the laws. The laws indicate that you must adopt the principles to invest here in America. That's what the laws was. The laws that we lived by was also so you could imagine and adopt the principles of the law so you can invest. That's why those treaties were signed in 1777, because you all had an entry date, date of entry. Don't bother with us. We're not a violent people. We live by a code: peace, love, and friendship. And we don't go past that code. But, but, we adhere to our laws. Our laws that guide us to make sure that we stand strong as a people and proclaim what is rightfully ours, our birthright. And I'm still in that learning stage. Believe you me, I'm still in that learning stage. As a matter of fact, I was reading some speeches given by His Noble Jew Ali, prophet of the Moorish Science Temple. But I am I am guided so solemnly by the under by the procedures of cons- of of being able to conceptualize everything that is given to me. And not only that, but being able to tell you, my brothers and sisters, what is there available to us. It's not nothing hard. You don't have to apply to come out of the corporation that you're in. Like how they ask you, oh, you got to go get a depot to change your name. Who you asking? You got to look at the craziness that you're living by. Imagine they're telling you it is required for you to apply through a depot to change your name. The only person that you can talk to pertaining to that is your mother and father. Which system? Suddenly everything is systemized. Suddenly everything comes under the corporation. Y'all get the point? You got to apply through the poll, through the High Court of Supreme to change your name to be called something else. Don't you understand that you're owned? You're a property of the state. I think you got to apply to them because they owned you. They own you. You are their property. You have a citizenship. For me, I don't have a citizenship. I have a nationality. I've thrown that citizenship away since last week. I threw it to the curve. Man, it bounced and it bruised and it got some whitey, but it didn't belong to me anymore. I've given that up because I've realized that this world system is based upon a democratic illusion that they call democracy. A fake substance. It's just a word. It has no body, it has no merit. The only time it has a body and a merit is its subjects, its servants, its loyal servants or subjects or slaves. That's the only way it's given body. Otherwise than that, it has no strength because it has no identity. Where is it formed from? Or how did it come? It come via way of an alien invention that took not only our records, but our way of life, rewrite it, plagiarized it, give it to us in many forms, in the form of religion, in the form of politics, in the form of democracy, in the form of socialism, in all these fancy forms, they give it back to us. They spent hundreds of years rewriting our DNA because they knew in 200-300 years from now, they will own not only the land in which they came and meet, but its people. They knew that. You want me to tell you another secret? They had to continue to do that because in the stages of reincarnation, we wouldn't know exactly what happened. We were born into a system that is new. And when I say reincarnation, some of you must see, budge, yeah? You never heard the saying, "Oh, death, where is thy sting?" For I look it upon it and I realize it's laughter. Because only those who know the truth know exactly what's happening. It's not about a belief. A belief is to be stagnant. It's about knowing. Knowing is about the progression. You will evolve. That's when you know something deep down within you. You know it. You eventually evolved after a while. You become like Gavin Matthews, and they will look at you, Gavin Matthews-Bey, as a matter of fact, and they will look at you and said, well, like how they look at me and say, oh, on his bike, man, he going crazy. Oh, no, it's not about that. It's about the articulation of your skills now, being able to identify who you are. It's about an identification and to stand upon your declaration of who you are, not what they say that you are. You stand upon that. I mean, I know that some of my family members would have said to me, "Oh boy, you're really this thing will really profit you." It's not about profiting. What are you profiting? That's the question I asked. I said, "What am I profiting? Tell me." I said, in the same scriptures we read every day, it says, "What will a man profit if he gains the whole world and to lose his own soul? Nothing." You know why? Because the earth was so designed to be his comfort, his footstool. The scripture tells you that. The scripture even tell you that you're born with these inalienable rights, the right to life because God made you, the right to liberty because it's your freedom, and the right to property. When you're born, we gotta walk on the earth. When you're walking on the road to go to school, it belongs where? On the earth? It belongs on the earth, but the system trying to tell you that you gotta pay to walk. How are you paying to walk? Why they ain't paying? How you paying? Where you paying with? Oh, they tell you money that do they create? It ain't making sense. How should I work for something that man created all my life? And the earth, which was designed to give me comfort and shelter, me working to protect it, I given it up. That's why people say, oh, you abandoned your responsibility as a people. You abandoned your lineage, so give the lands over to me, and I will privilege it. And that's what they're doing. They're digging the lands to get the gold and the silver. They're destroying it with cyanide and all these things. They're digging the land to get the oil, and they're destroying it when they have an oil spill. Because what is the oil really for? To drive motor vehicles that pollute the air. There's nothing that they created that give life to the earth. Can't you see that these people are aliens? Can't you see the system that you're living by is an alien system? It destroys you as the living soul. It tears you apart. It doesn't give you substance. Look at the food that you eat, the rice that was created here. Sometimes I just be very, very touchy with these topics, but I got to go into it. The rice that was created to make paper for scribes to write on suddenly come a consumable item for living souls. Can you imagine that? Sugar, sugar from the sugar cane that we gain ethanol from, suddenly it's a digestive substance for human beings and it destroys us, clogs up our arteries and all these different things with inflammation. We call it pus. Flows in our blood veins, block it up, we get heart attack. sugar, sugar. Suddenly, we gone to oil and butter. You want to see how destructive are these two things? Throw some on a cup of water and see what happens. Just throw some oil or melt some butter and throw it in a cup of water and see what happens. You think it is mixed? It don't mix, it flow to the top. I know at the bottom, our bloodline. And those in the higher authorities that are creating these things for substances of digestion, of human consumption, doesn't even eat it, doesn't even partake in it. Or they tell you, oh, yes, it's good for you. And the only thing to make it work is to wake up the taste bud of a child. You put some sugar on a baby's mouth or his tongue, or you give you some sweet drink, see what goes on after then. Craziness. Oh, yeah, it's kicking me. Suddenly, a child has diabetes at a very young age. The natural living soul doesn't feed their children these things. They don't feed off of these things. These are the things that are being brought by the corporation. The corporation is only designed to create corpse, dead people, not to create, to encourage more corpse, dead people. That's how they survive, by owning you. When you're their slave, you're already dead because school becomes the prison. School is the prison. And when you graduate with a certificate, you graduate to go into prison. You check at it. You work all them years in the University of Guyana to get your master's and your PhD. And when you finish, you're told to obey and follow. Line up. If you're saying you wrong thing, well then you're dead bad. I ain't lying. When you graduate from law school, you give an oath. Can't tell the truth. When you graduate as a doctor, you give an oath, Hippocratic oath. You can't tell the truth. It's forbidden for you to do so, or we will take away your license. You could imagine you're frightened for them to take away your license to be a slave. You could imagine. You're so afraid for them to take away your license so you can't be a slave. But you ain't know. You prefer to be the slave. And you're working so hard. And they give you a piece of property that is transported, that you can be transported from. It's not yours, it's a transported land. Anyone, tell me you could wake it up and wake up and take it back from you. But when your nationality is that of a Moorish American, there's no transported land, there's no lease, there's no title. There's no corporation title. The only title thereof is those of the Aboriginal people. Yes. So for those who are looking, needs to understand that the predicament that we're living in as an Aboriginal people, we are the majority on this earth. Don't anybody fool you. When Christopher Columbus and his brother go to the islands of Hispaniola, you know who he found? He found Aboriginal. 69 million people there, people murder. 69. You had over 100 million people living on that island. Over 100 million Aboriginals living on that island. And to those who doesn't know what I'm talking about now the island is divided in two. You have Haiti on one hand, and you have the Dominican Republic on the other hand. And you know why they hate the Haitians? Because the Haitians refuse to accept an alien group of people to colonialize them. So the Haitians were the first To declare themselves an independent nation, they had to beg for declaration. They tell them we're an independent nation. But you know what happened after then? They make a mess out of them people. Got them paying over $5 billion that they took nearly 100 years to repay to give France because they kill all them French soldiers and them generals. You could imagine how these people live a lie. Napoleon run around the world, as they say, and conquer a lot of people, but Congo to the islands of Hispaniola send his most fearful general, and by catching Slingy up. You know, I don't feel sad talking about my culture and the people because somebody needs to tell that story. We cannot be united in a system that is created to enslave us. You want to stay united is to stay in slavery. I am not a black man. I'm an aboriginal. Black is an adjective. That means it's a description of a color on a thing or to a thing. And I'm not a thing. And that thing can be sold. That thing can become stock. That's why they spend all this time enslaving us because we identify ourselves as a thing. You know what they call it? They say a name identifies what? A person, place, or thing. You ever ask yourself, how can that make sense? How can I have the same identity? And then you can say the same identity can be identify a place or a thing. How can that be a noun? How can you put me in that category? You got to study these words that were created to govern you. This is the real lesson to teach our children what is going on before our eyes. How can a noun represent a person, place, or thing? Ask yourself that level of stupidity. And they're teaching it in school. School is a real place for prison. It is a modern day institutional prison. That's what school is. Because you're learning that you can imagine they're feeding the mind of the child that from a small age. You ever hear the vowel? A-E-I-O-U. All man out excepting you, the aboriginal. All man, A-E-I-O-U. All man out excepting you. Might sound like a nice riddle from school, eh? Has a deep meaning to it. And we laugh it off. We say, oh no, what you gonna do? My own daughter, a year ago, I was doing African history and I was telling them of how they feed the child of a mind with all kind of rubbish through the television. My daughter sat down and said, she break it up. She said, Daddy, it's not really television. I said, what is it? She said, it's a tell a lie to your vision. That's what it is. That's what it is. She was 13 then. To tell a lie to your vision. The system is so designed. The corporations that we live under is so designed to continue to enslave the mind. Hold on. A very blessed and pleasant good evening to you. Thank you for calling the Gavin Matthews-Bey show. Good night to you.
Call.
Pardon
Remember
me?
when I tell you about why you steady saying the big lady they call you and telling you why you calling black? Black is a color. I see you catch yourself now.
Oh yes. No,
Anything black.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Black is a color.
Mm.
Huh? I see you catch yourself now. I like the
Mm.
like the we are the Aboriginal. We're not black.
Mm.
If you want, we get woolly hair. This what we get woolly hair. This what the Bible says. We get woolly hairs.
But here is the question I want to ask. Are you prepared to declare yourself as an Aboriginal?
That's a sense.
Okay, well then, beautiful. You can call me back and we can
Yes.
discuss on it.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you very
I
much.
must call. Let me call you back.
Yeah, must call me back and we can discuss on it, on the
What do you mean
declaration.
tonight? Tonight?
Well, well, I have an hour after the show, and after that I rest until tomorrow, so you can decide.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
Good. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
All right.
Hmm.
Thank you very much. And have a blessed night. You're doing a good job.
Okay.
Continue educating us. Continue, Gavin.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Uh-huh. There's one of my followers, and she wasn't lying. She was talking about not talking about black and using the word black. But you could imagine, and that was a couple of months ago, and I didn't knew what I knew now. I didn't know a thing. What I knew back then, I didn't know now. I wish I know what I know now. I know back then, so I can be able to enlighten the people. I was so stuck into the system. That's why people used to laugh at me. You know, people used to say, "Well, yeah, but they laugh." Talking about the same thing we you got to do. I doing to you, but you know. Now I have the knowledge of such a fact. So I'm not an ignorant person or I'm not an idiot. So I'm being able to not only receive the knowledge, but I'm able to pass it on to you. Because in my verse, in my words, it says, the wealth of a man is not what he builds, gains, or buys, but the ability to change lives in a positive way. So that is what I look at. I don't see the material things. The earth got to provide for me. It was designed to do that. You understand? It was designed to do that. So I know all things must come to an end. And I appreciate that we had this time that I can have this conversation. You, I think tonight I feel very much pleased because I'm being able to express myself even more than last night and night before the last. But this is what the topics will be from night after night. It's about declaring who you are, recognizing where you come from and your nationality, and not to become corporate citizens of an entity that intends to enslave you and your children, because that is what is happening now. Believe you me, that is what is happening now. 2 weeks ago I was a slave, not now. That's the truth. To those who are looking, yes, 2 weeks ago I was considered a slave because I was still the property of a corporate entity, which is the state of Guyana. But now I'm not. I refuse to be owned and be directed. Oh, and the money that we talk about, the big fancy money, them hundreds of billions of dollars, zilch, worth nothing. It becomes a tingling brass and a sounding cymbal. That's what it is. Nothing. What does it pay for? Your labor. What is your labor? Check it. What is your labor? How do we used to do trade back then? By bartering. I got cassava, you got cow. I want a little meat, I give you a bundle of cassava, you give me a cow. That's fair trade. Suddenly, look at the stupidness. I mean, I want cut off, but look at the stupidness. Suddenly, the fair trade is the dollars, the paper that I make, and put some ink and color on it, and a little number becomes the fair trade. They're robbing you of not only of your rights and your ancestral rights, they're robbing you of your own labor because you can't gain nothing from it. Look, if you got $100 billion, does it make you a god? No, it doesn't make you a god. It doesn't do nothing for you. And to those who are looking and to those who are part of this program, whenever you're calling or whenever you're writing on the comment section, stop identifying yourself as black. You're not a black man. You stop talking to people and saying black people because they are not. Stop identifying themselves like that and identifying yourself like that because every time you do it, every day you do it, you become more and more enslaved by such actions. This is Dr. Gavin Matthews-Bey. Yes, Dr. Gavin Matthews-Bey. My doctor stands above all of those that are certified doctors under a slave system because my own is free. It's an identification to the educative standard in which I hold and want to tell you about what is happening. Saying to you, black love all the time. Black love is a design and is a pattern that was patterned by me, registered by me, and owned by me. Black love is to stand against systematic oppression, racism, slavery, murder, and to taking away the rights of an Aboriginal people. That's what black love is about. It's not to identify people, it's to identify the wrongdoings to a people that are Aboriginal. Stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask, and don't forget the little ones that you take into public places. This is Dr. Bay saying good night and Cheerios for now.